It started with a crumpled piece of paper, a parking ticket slapped on my daughter's car like a slap in the face. I thought it was just another petty HOA stunt until my kid, Lily, told me she was being followed. Then came the oil stains on our driveway, the late-night phone calls, the chains rattling outside our windows, and the threats that felt like they were closing in. Every clue pointed to one person, Margaret Hensley, the HOA president who strutted around like she owned the entire town of Willow Creek, Oregon. It wasn't just power or money driving her, it felt darker, more deliberate, like a plan unfolding. If I hadn't caught on when I did, I shudder to think how far this would have gone. My name's Tom Bradley. I'm 44, a former Navy SEAL who spent 15 years in the service before starting my own security consulting firm, Bradley Defense Solutions. I don't say this to brag, it's just context for why this mess played out the way it did. I teach people how to protect themselves, their homes, and their loved ones from real threats. So when that ticket showed up on Lily's windshield in our quiet cul-de-sac on a chilly October morning in 2024, my gut told me something was off. Lily, my 17-year-old, stormed in from the garage, holding the citation like it was radioactive. "Dad, what the hell is this?" she asked, her voice a mix of confusion and teenage defiance. The paper screamed violation in bold red ink, claiming she'd broken a new HOA rule by parking her beat-up Civic in our driveway after 6 p.m. I scanned it, my jaw tightening. This wasn't just bureaucratic nonsense, it felt like a declaration of war. Margaret Hensley, the HOA president, was a 58-year-old widow who lived in the biggest house on Maple Lane. She'd been a thorn in our side since she took over the HOA a year ago, nitpicking everything from fence paint colors to the height of our rose bushes. But this citation? It was next level. I dug through my emails and found the rule announcement buried in my spam folder, sent at 3:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, 3 days prior. Who sends official HOA emails in the dead of night? My years in the Navy taught me that coincidences like that are usually cover for something deliberate. I cross-checked every HOA email from the past year. Legitimate ones always came during business hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. This smelled like someone trying to slip a rule past us while we slept. I'm not one to let things slide, especially when it comes to Lily. She's a junior, working part-time at Bella's Diner, trying to fit in while driving a car that doesn't scream fancy. That ticket wasn't just a fine, it was a public shaming, and I wasn't about to let it mess with her head. So I got to work. I pulled our HOA bylaws, dusted off my old habit of documenting everything, and found that Margaret had ignored every rule in the book. A 14-day warning period, a community meeting, a 30-day grace period, all skipped. I called the HOA office that afternoon, keeping my tone calm but firm, asking for clarification. The secretary sounded flustered, put me on hold for 7 minutes, then came back with a curt message. "Mrs. Hensley says the citation stands. Pay within 48 hours, no exceptions. No explanation, no appeal process, just a demand." My SEAL training kicked in. When someone stonewalls like that, they're hiding something. That night, I told Lily we'd handle it through proper channels, like civilized people. She trusted me, her eyes saying more than her words. I drafted a formal letter outlining the procedural violations, requesting a hearing, and sent it to the HOA with copies saved for my records. I figured reasonable people would see reason. I was dead wrong. The next morning, an HOA newsletter arrived, featuring a photo of Lily's car under the headline, "Neighborhood Nuisance of the Week." Then another email hit at 3:47 a.m. Final notice, payment due immediately, $100 late fee added. The 48-hour window hadn't even expired. This wasn't incompetency, it was aggression. Lily caught me reading the email over coffee and asked if everything was okay. I lied, said it was just red tape we'd sort out. But deep down, I knew this was escalating beyond a parking dispute. My instincts, honed from years of assessing threats, screamed that something bigger was at play. I started digging deeper, researching HOA disputes nationwide in our town's history. 3 other families had been hit with similar citations in the past 6 months, all with teenage drivers and older cars. They'd paid up rather than fight, and I couldn't shake the feeling Margaret was targeting families who didn't fit her polished vision of Willow Creek. I set up a surveillance post at the coffee shop across from the HOA office, blending in with a laptop and a latte. For 3 hours, I watched the mundane flow of suburban life until Margaret stepped out at 2:30 p.m., and met a guy by a battered pickup. He looked like trouble straight out of a crime drama. Leather vest, tattoos snaking up his arms, a swagger that screamed hired muscle. Margaret handed him a thick envelope, clearly cash. He counted it, nodded, and they shook hands like it was a routine deal. I snapped photos of his license plate as he drove off, old habits kicking in. A quick call to a sheriff's deputy I knew from my Navy days revealed the guy was Vince Carter, 41, with a rap sheet for assault and a shady, event security, business code for intimidation for hire. The puzzle pieces clicked. Margaret wasn't just a power-hungry HOA president. She was paying thugs to enforce her rules. This wasn't about parking, it was about control, maybe even personal vendettas. I upgraded our home security that night. Motion sensors, night vision cameras, reinforced locks. Lily noticed and asked if we were in trouble. Just being cautious, I said, but my gut told me trouble was already here. It arrived at midnight on a Friday, November 15th, 2024. The roar of motorcycles shattered the silence of our Street 5 Harleys, circling our house like sharks. They parked on the curb, engines growling, visors down, bandanas up. One rider stuffed a note in our mailbox, "Pay up or else," with a phone number scrawled below. Oil stains marked our driveway like a warning. Lily woke up, her voice trembling. "Dad, who are they?" I hugged her, promising it'd be okay. "They don't know who they're messing with, kiddo." I called the number the next morning. Vince answered, his voice dripping with fake menace. "Got our message?" I asked what kind of security business threatens families. He laughed, but it was nervous. 48 hours to pay, or we talk face to face. Same timeline as Margaret's email proof they were in sync. I contacted my attorney, compiled evidence, and prepared for escalation. That afternoon, I turned my garage into a training space, running through combat drills. Not because I wanted a fight, but because preparation beats panic. Sunday brought another 3:47 a.m. email, copying Vince. "Last chance, pay by 5 p.m. or face consequences." I forwarded it to my attorney and a DA contact specializing in extortion. At 8:30 p.m., Lily called, her voice shaking. "Dad, they're at the barn, blocking my car." The barn, 200 yards from our house, was where she parked after her diner shift, perfect for an ambush. I grabbed my keys, moving deliberately, adrenaline pumping but controlled. Vince's crew had 3 bikes and his pickup boxing in Lily's car. 4 men, leather-clad, stood in a formation meant to intimidate. Vince leaned against his truck, smirking. I approached, calm, sizing them up. "Evening, gentlemen," I said, standing just close enough to read their intent, but far enough to react. Vince stepped forward. "Time to pay up, tough guy?" I checked my watch. 3 minutes, Vince. "That's how long you have before you're begging me to stop. What's coming?" His smirk faltered. I revealed my sealed background, my security firm, and the evidence. Photos of Margaret's cash handoff, email timestamps, recordings of Vince's threats. Federal conspiracy charges carry 5 to 10 years, especially when minors are involved, I said, scrolling through my phone. I circled them slowly, asking about their training, forcing them to turn, disrupting their confidence. Lily called from her car. "Dad, you okay?" I replied, "These guys are about to learn why you don't mess with a SEAL's kid. Get your phone ready for the police report." Then it happened, pure chaos. One of Vince's crew, a kid named Joey, accidentally started a live video call. His phone lit up, broadcasting to his entire network. Faces filled the screen, watching as Vince's tough guy act crumbled. I laid out their crimes: extortion, conspiracy, targeting a minor. The crew panicked. Joey blurted, "We didn't know she was a kid." Vince said it was easy money. Another muttered, "You didn't say nothing about federal charges." Margaret's face appeared on the call, her smugness melting into panic as she realized her scheme was exposed. The live feed went viral. Comments poured in. "These bikers are crying. Who's the SEAL dad?" Vince's phone buzzed with calls from his network, mocking him. Ray's getting owned by a suburban dad. The social humiliation was brutal, worse than any punch I could have thrown. Their tough guy image, built over years, was shredded in minutes. Joey dropped his phone, still streaming, as the crew begged. "We're sorry, man. We got kids. We can't go to prison." Police sirens cut through the night. 3 patrol cars rolled up, followed by a detective. The viral video had reached the sheriff's department, and Vince's crew had confessed to felonies on live stream. Arrests were swift. Vince got 18 months. His crew got probation. Margaret faced conspiracy charges, resigned in disgrace, and became a pariah in Willow Creek. The HOA was overhauled. New elections, audits, oversight by veterans. Lily's citation and others like it vanished. My business boomed as police and contractors sought my de-escalation training. Lily handled her local fame with grace, joking about her legendary dad. The video became a case study in outsmarting bullies without violence. Sitting on my porch, coffee in hand, I felt peace for the first time in weeks. Preparation, evidence, and their own stupidity had won the day. Bullies don't expect a fight from a family like ours, and that's their biggest mistake. So what would you have done? Would you have stayed calm or lost it when they cornered your kid? Should I have thrown a punch to make a point, or was exposing them enough? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if you were cheering us on, and subscribe for more stories where the underdog flips the script. Let's hear your take because this kind of nonsense happens everywhere, and I want to know how you'd handle it.